everybody, Mark, aka the Nerdy Punk, back again today for a new video. Hope you all are doing well. Tonight's video is going to be the next in the spooky season marathon for 2022, and in this one I'm going to be talking about Frankenstein from 1931. So I went ahead and picked up this Universal Monsters 4K set on Amazon just a few days ago, and it includes Dracula, Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, and The Wolfman. All of the classic movies from the 30s and 40s. And shockingly, I haven't seen any of these. Of course, I know the influence of these movies. I know the characters. They have been endlessly influential on all kinds of movies that I'm sure I've seen in the past. But I just haven't watched these originals before. And I finally dived into Frankenstein tonight, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. So Frankenstein is from 1931. It stars Boris Karloff as the monster, and it's directed by James Whale, I believe is his name. Let's see if it says here. First of all, I will go ahead and show you the packaging while I'm doing that. So it's one of these book style packaging. It's kind of like the Alfred Hitchcock set, which was also put out by Universal. And it has pictures, and then it has the individual discs in these little cardboard sleeves with the original poster art for the movies and all that kind of thing. So I'm not the hugest fan of this style of packaging just because it's easier to, there goes the digital code. It's easier to scratch the discs and all that kind of stuff, but it's not a huge deal. With 4K and Blu-ray, they hardly ever get scratched. So anyway, I was looking for the director here. Yes, James Whale directed Frankenstein. And with it being the first time I watched it, I was kind of going through some facts about the movie. And I found out that James Whale actually was an openly gay film director in the 1920s and 30s in Hollywood. And I just can't imagine how difficult that must have been, and also kind of how it impacted his art. And I don't feel like you get it as much with Frankenstein itself, but I am looking forward to kind of how that impacted what he made. And I've heard that it's kind of more obvious when it comes to The Bride of Frankenstein, but I just, people struggle with that kind of thing today, let alone 90 years ago, how difficult that must have been. But I think he did a really good job directing this movie, of course. I mean, there's not much that I can say about this movie that hasn't already been said. The best part of it is Boris Karloff, of course. Iconic performance, I mean, endlessly influential and iconic, of course, and, went on to basically redefine horror, or maybe even define it for, generations. And something I found incredibly impactful with his performance is how he made Frankenstein kind of, or the monster, shall I say, he made you feel for him in ways that you don't really expect if you're just kind of putting on this movie because you're thinking it's a classic scary movie from the 30s. You're expecting the kind of Frankenstein type thing, that's been endlessly portrayed forever. You're not expecting to kind of feel like you're watching, this innocent creature be mistreated. And you really kind of feel for him because the dude, he never got a fair shot in the movie. And the certain scenes, like when he's trapped inside the windmill, it kind of tugs at the heartstrings a little bit. And I think a lot of that has to do with Boris Karloff's performance and his kind of charisma coming through there. I thought this was a really good movie, especially for the 1930s, the early 1930s. Like, when you think about the context of this film, it is incredibly groundbreaking for the time. And like I kind of wrote on Letterboxd, I would love to go back in time and see how people reacted to this in 1931, because I think it would have been incredibly revolutionary for the time. So kind of with modern lenses, looking back upon it, especially after having seen so many horror movies in my life, There's certain things that I can pick apart and say, that wasn't the best, or that's been done better. And of course, it's natural that something's going to be done better over 90 years. Like, that's how the art form progresses over time. But nonetheless, you can't take away the accomplishments of this movie. And I'm excited to get into more of the classic monsters. I may include a couple more reviews as we go through the spooky season marathon of some of these classic monster movies. I'm giving Frankenstein a 4 out of 5. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Happy spooky season, everybody, and I will see you later.